Hello and welcome back to the channel.
We just got back from our first ever Virgin Voyages cruise aboard the Valiant Lady, and we have so much to share with you.
In this video, we're going to be giving you our full, honest review with no sugarcoating.
We're talking about what we loved, what we liked, and yes, what we hated.
We're breaking down the cruise into 10 key categories, from the ship itself to the food, cabins, entertainment, the value for the money, and more.
So if you're thinking about booking a trip on the Valiant Lady, or its nearly identical sister ships, the Scarlet Lady and Resilient Lady, or you're just curious about what Virgin Voyages is really like, stick around. We've got all the details coming up. Welcome to World Wanderers.
We're Alicia and Will.
Come wander the world with us. Our first category is the ship overview.
We'll start with the design and ambiance of the ship itself, which was very modern and different than a lot of other cruise lines.
Right. I wouldn't say that the ship itself was like architecturally exceptionally impressive, but the design of like the interior decor was very well done and classy.
Yeah, I would say overall first impressions would put it somewhere below like the big Royal Caribbean ships, and even some of the really nice MSG ships are probably like the ship itself is nicer.
Right, I agree. But one thing that definitely did stand out from the ship perspective was that there was so much seating and deck space.
Yes, the deck space definitely is laid out well.
Right. And it's not just like they had deck chairs that you could, find to sit by the pool. They had like premium deck chairs that were included and not necessarily like a cabana that you had to rent. There were so many different kinds of couches and sofas and lounges that you could just lay on, which were really nice and always available.
Like big soft day beds and a whole ring around the aft end of the ship, like lots of areas for sunbathing.
Right. And then throughout the interior of the ship, there were a lot of photo ops that stood out. There was
Yeah.
really cute neon signs and cute wallpaper, and just like a lot of places where I was like, hey, can you take a picture of me here? Like that stood out a lot.
Well, even on the exterior with like their big Virgin neon sign on both sides, like you can go around the track and get a great picture with that. Like it's definitely designed the whole ship for great photo ops.
Right. It's definitely the Instagram generation
Yeah.
is their target audience, I think. And then also on cleanliness and maintenance of the ship, everything was very clean for sure.
Yeah.
And everything seemed new as well. It is a newer ship compared to some other lines, but everything definitely showed no wear and tear, which we thought was cool.
Our next category is cabins and accommodations.
As far as the size and comfort of the staterooms, we found it to be a little bit disappointing compared to other lines.
Yeah, they're definitely a little smaller, even our balcony terrace level than like the big Royal Caribbean ships, the MSC ships. We were saying even like the princess rooms were bigger.
Right. We definitely felt that way. I also think it was just the utilization of space too was not as good, which made it feel functionally smaller. In the room, they initially had this seabed thing that was going to be converted during the day to like a sofa, and then at night they'd convert it to your bed. But this never once happened. Our room steward didn't offer to like switch it from bed form to sofa form, which was fine, but that definitely left nowhere to really sit if you wanted to sit in your room. There was one like little chair, not like an armchair, but kind of just like a normal chair.
Yeah, other than just like sitting on the bed or out on the balcony.
Right. And on the balcony, I did love that. They had the hammock, which was amazing. And then two little chairs and a table for drinks. So we did like that.
And you did spend a lot of time in your hammock. You loved your hammock, especially once you got the like soft blanket in there to keep from getting the rope marks all over you. I will say the chairs in the balcony are like these metal chairs that are not very comfortable. I ended up bringing out the soft chair from the room onto the balcony to sit on it when I wanted to sit out there.
Right. And then there also was not a lot of storage in the room. It didn't have like a real armoire. It just had like a little like shelf unit with like a curtain in front of it. So it kind of just felt a little low end for the high end prices I think they're charging.
Yeah, it had like a basically a set of shelves and like one bar to hang stuff on. That was all closed off by a curtain.
Right. As far as the amenities in the room, though, I did like the tablet that was there. They had like a tablet that would allow the curtains to open with the push of a button, or lighting that could be dimmed and controlled via the tablet. So that was pretty cool. I thought that was a good feature.
You can also use that tablet to set what they call room moods, and they have like a hangover mood or a romance mood or a meditation mood, and it changes the color of your like LED accent lighting and opens and closes the curtains. Plays a little like some music to set the mood or whatever.
Right. It was cool. It was different, and we enjoyed that. As far as noise levels go, we found the room to be very quiet.
Yeah, the rooms were quiet, and for all of our complaints, they were still very nice rooms, well kept. They weren't any issues with cleanliness or material condition.
Right. And we do have a full cabin tour video that we're releasing later this week. So if you want to check that out, subscribe and you'll see it for yourself.
Our third category is dining options.
Right. As far as the quality and variety of food, they hit this one out of the park.
Excellent food.
Yes. The highlight for me was what they call the galley. Instead of doing a buffet, which has a similar space to what a buffet would be on any other ship, they have basically it's a food court. So there's like, I want to say maybe 10 different little tiny restaurants where they're making all your food fresh, made to order in front of you. And it was excellent.
Think like a taco stand and a noodle house and a diner type area. And they all have like their own little themes, a salad bar, all sorts of stuff that you go up to them, you can put your order in, get your plate, or you can actually order from the tables. The servers will come around, you put a little flag up, order what they want, and they'll bring it to you.
They had a popsicle stand and they had pastries and bread and a panini kind of place, which was my favorite. But all the food was excellent. I don't think we had a single piece of food in there that we didn't finish. Like, it was all awesome.
Yeah, and they have the soda machines out there, which the soda packages are included. That's one of Virgin's things. Yeah, and then there's lemonade, iced tea, all that there as well.
Yeah, so that was great. And then as far as the restaurants in the evening, there was no main dining room. Everything was basically a specialty restaurant, which we really liked as well.
Yeah, yeah. Lots of good options. They have a Korean place, an Italian place. I love the Wake Steakhouse. Like, that was great. Pink Agave, their Mexican restaurant, fantastic.
Yeah, and again, all of the specialty like restaurants have their own theme and decor, and they're really beautiful and a good place to take a photo as well. So
yeah, and I would say the quality of the food in each one of them and in the galley itself is at least one step above like what we've had on pretty much any other cruise line.
Right, Princess would come close. We think their food's excellent, but this was a step above for sure, especially without that buffet situation. And then as far as dietary accommodations, I don't think I've been on a cruise that caters to vegans and vegetarians more than this one does.
Yeah, that's true. This is definitely a great cruise line for more health conscious people in general.
Right. Especially their Razzle Dazzle restaurant. They had, I think, just as many vegan and vegetarian options as they did main options for like carnivores. So definitely, if you are a vegetarian or vegan, you should try out this cruise line for sure.
And aside from the food quality itself and how great the food was at all these restaurants, they also all have excellent themes. Like, they're decorated very nicely. Their entryways are set up perfect for picture opportunities. Like, it's a beautiful spaces as well.
Right. And if you do have allergies, I accidentally mentioned at the Korean barbecue place that I didn't eat fish. And they mistakenly marked it down that I was allergic to shellfish. And I had every single waiter moving forward on the cruise make sure that they knew that, it'd pop up on their tablet saying, "Oh, you have an allergy. Don't worry. We'll take care of you." And I was like, no, I'm sorry. It's fine. I just don't like fish. But they definitely were aware of it and had a good system in place to make sure that you weren't actually getting cross-contaminated food, which I liked. Our next category is entertainment and activities.
Yeah, we're talking about the shows and performances. I personally liked a lot of them. They're definitely very different than other cruise lines.
Yes, it almost felt like they were trying a little too hard to be different and edgy, in my opinion, but you did really like them.
Yeah, I would say the dueling reality show, which is kind of I don't know, Romeo and Juliet told via Cirque du Soleil type performance ish. That was probably my favorite one. Also, like the drag queen around the world show thing, like, you like that too.
Yeah, that was really cool. They had a drag show, which, again, being an adults only cruise, I feel like they definitely are leaning into that pretty hard. They also definitely want audience participation. That was a theme that I noticed in all of the nightly shows. They were trying to kind of bring you into it. But I will say that if you are going into this, especially from some of the larger mega ships, you will be a little bit disappointed with the caliber of performers. On any small ship, I just don't think they have the budget to have like world-class performers, whereas they would on a ship with 6,000 passengers. Now, on this ship that had 2,700 passengers max, you're going to get a little bit different of an experience. So as somebody who comes from a musical background, I found it to be like maybe smaller college level performances versus like Broadway caliber performances that you're going to get on like a Royal Caribbean ship. So just keep that in mind if that's something that's really important to you.
Yeah, and I would say the only show that might have been being like basically just trying to be too edgy just for the sake of being edgy would be the Misbehave show. Like, that one, it got to the point where it was no longer really pushing the story, and they were just trying to be edgy for the sake of being edgy.
Yeah, which some people were really into, so maybe that's for you. But as far as onboard activities, I would say they were okay. There wasn't a huge variety. We did enjoy the trivia game show one day,
Yeah,
and I went to spin class every morning, which was definitely good.
I went once, wouldn't go again.
Yeah, he said that was a one and done for him. But to be fair, like he just doesn't like spin class. So
Yep.
anyway, it was a good chance for him to try it for free. But my one complaint about it would be that some of the game shows and like karaoke, they would have in a super small venue where there was very limited seating. So if you had more than like 20 people that wanted to sit down, it was like everybody was hovering in the doorway, and it just was not a good guest
Yeah,
experience.
that was a problem, particularly for anything in the social club, which does not have a lot of seating. That's the case.
Right.
They did also have lots of other physical activity classes and workout classes you could go to. I think spin class is the only one we did, but they have a bungee jumping workout class and all sorts of them.
Yeah, they fill up fast though, so make sure that the second you get on the ship, you're booking those if you want to go to the bungee class. As far as nightlife, there was definitely a good variety of parties.
Yeah, for sure. They have parties all over the ship. They start with pajama night on your first night, where everybody goes in their pajamas. It's everything from onesies to lingerie, basically, and that is up on like the pool deck area, all the way back aft. And it's free flowing champagne for everybody that night. You don't pay for the champagne, just other drinks. Great party. And they move into an after party in the nightclubs. The other big party is Scarlet Night, and that's like the big party on board.
Right. They do a lot of like shows, and through the hallways, entertainers will be doing different things. They bring it into like every space, and it's pretty cool that the whole ship dressed up in red. We were excited for
Yeah,
that. But
they change the lighting and a lot of the restaurants. Everything's in red. They do like a big kickoff show in the main atrium, is what I guess I would call that space.
yeah, yeah. So that was definitely fun. So I would say parties were definitely better on this ship than I think any one we've been on.
Yeah, and then Scarlet Night, the big like Scarlet Night party itself, the pool party is like the main event of Scarlet Night, and they open the pool back up. The ship staff does a big show along the edge of the pool, and they try to get as many ship passengers as possible to jump in the pool in their scarlet clothes.
Keep in mind though, these parties do occur very late. So I was in bed. I went to the start of it, and that was the end. You met me later.
Yeah, the pool party starts at like 10:45, ends at like midnight, and then the after party goes to like 4 or 5 in the morning.
Yeah, not for me.
Our next category is service and staff.
As far as friendliness goes, every single person we interacted with was nice and they did their job well.
Yeah, and they definitely seem like they weren't overworked on this cruise line, which we've experienced probably more in the past few years since the pandemic than we did before. But that was not the case on Virgin. They seemed pretty content with their jobs and happy. And
I agree. Our room steward, for example, was a team of two people as opposed to just the one we've been accustomed to on other cruise lines. And we only received service in our room once per day. They weren't in and out of there like twice doing turn down service or replacing our towels all the time. Not that we need that, but I definitely got the feeling that there was nobody on board that went like above and beyond for us. Even though gratuities are included on almost every line now, or it's automatically charged to you, we normally feel the need to like give an additional tip to our room steward normally, or like our team of waiters. And I didn't feel the need on this cruise. So maybe that's just not the case, or maybe that's the reason nobody feels the need to necessarily go above and beyond.
this might come down to your preference a little bit, but like even up on the pool deck, if you're in the hot tub or laying out on a lot of the cruise lines, you have the bar staff coming around like asking if you want another drink or a refill. That does happen. Like they are coming around, but it's way less frequent than on like Royal or any other ships, which is surprising because there's no alcohol package. So like they're making a sale on each one. So if you don't like to be bothered while you're laying out or in the hot tub, you might like that. But if you're, don't want to get out to go get a drink or don't want to wait a long time, then it may be an issue for you.
I agree. And then as far as the restaurants go, you're rotating to a different restaurant where you make a reservation or do a walk in every night. So you're not having the same waiters every night to kind of build that relationship with. So that's definitely a little different as well. So while everybody was great, nobody was amazing.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And then as far as efficiency goes for the cruise line, check-in was an awesome experience. That was super
Yeah.
fast, seamless, smooth. We were in and out like basically right at our time when we showed up. And then as far as dining, we never waited for our reservation. We walked up at the time that we had scheduled, and we were seated within 2 minutes, probably at every restaurant.
Yeah, and that may have had a little to do with capacity. We were at 2,000 of the 2,700 total possible guests. So, we're a few hundred guests short of capacity, and that may have given them a little more leeway. But I think our feeling was that it is probably usually similar to this.
Right. And I think that comes along with, it's one of the benefits of choosing a smaller ship compared to some of the mega
Yeah.
ships out there. Our next category is destinations and excursions.
So our itinerary was Cozumel and Bimini. We've been to Cozumel a bunch of times and actually decided to stay on the ship this time.
We did, yeah. We just wanted a relaxing day to take advantage of the ship being totally empty and having it to ourselves. But we do love Cozumel. We've been to a bunch of different excursions in Cozumel. So if this is your first cruise or your first time choosing an itinerary, Cozumel is a solid choice.
One of my favorite places to explore, go snorkeling, diving, like beautiful island.
Right. And then our second port was the Bimini Private Beach Club. I always love going to a cruise ship's private island because I love that the food is already included. It's very easy. You just get off the ship and they take you exactly where you want to go for free. So I love that. And the food was very good.
Yep. Once again, not a buffet. You tell them what you want off the menu. Some of it's kind of prepared, but they're cooking it right there in front of you, like as you're ordering, and you can get as many items as you want on the menu.
Right. It was kind of Caribbean themed. We had
Yeah.
a lot of good food there. And then also the water was absolutely beautiful at the beach there. We had never been to Bimini before in general. And even having lived in Miami Beach, right, which is basically a 2 hour
ferry ride,
two-hour ferry ride west, we were amazed by how beautiful and clear the water was there.
Super crystal clear water, yeah.
They also have a really nice pool, but I found the water to be freezing. Maybe that's because we just went in December, but I was not getting in the pool. The ocean was significantly warmer than the pool.
Bear in mind, if water is less than like 85, there's a real good chance she's not getting in it.
Yes, I agree. I am a baby, but I was not the only one that thought that water was cold.
Yeah, lots of people were in.
Yeah, and I will say, compared to some other cruise lines, private islands, there was not a lot of activities to do. There was no like snorkels they were just handing out for you to use. It was basically like lay on the beach, lay at the pool, eat or drink, and that was the extent of your activities.
There wasn't even a spot to like rent the snorkels or wakeboards or anything. There's like a cargo container or whatever where you can see they do sometimes do that, but it was closed for our stop.
Right. And had we chosen to actually purchase an excursion through the ship, I found that the options were very limited and actually super expensive for what they were. I thought that compared to every other cruise line, they were not reasonable options or reasonable prices.
And Virgin tends to stay in port longer, which leads to my piece of advice on this, and that would be to look and see what's available in the ports or aviator and book your own excursion. Just make sure that you're back, plenty of buffer time before the ship pulls out.
Right. I will say that for them, as far as time at port goes, we pulled in early and we did have a full day there. We were almost always at dinner when they were pulling out. So there's time to do whatever you want to do. We never took up the entire time. We came back to the ship pretty early.
Yeah, I think both times it was dark when we were leaving.
Agree. Next up is onboard technology.
I want to start with the Wi-Fi on that. The Wi-Fi quality was actually great. Like I thought, one, it's free and included. You don't pay any extra price for it. And probably some of the best Wi-Fi we've had at sea.
I totally agree. It was great for social media use and like surfing the internet. Sometimes videos would buffer, but they would still play. And if you're trying to like work from the ship or something, you could purchase the premium Wi-Fi package, which people were saying was even better. Yeah. But for the average person, like I did not feel the need to upgrade or even feel the want to upgrade.
Yeah, from what I've seen in the premium Wi-Fi, you could just sit there and stream Netflix in your room if you wanted to with no problems.
Right. And then here's where it gets bad. As far as tech features, their app is absolutely terrible. I don't think we've had a worse cruise line app than the Virgin app.
Yes, which is disappointing because you need to use the app for pretty much everything.
Right. Not even just like the shows and the entertainment going on that day, but that's how you book your restaurants. And it was so glitchy. I would have to it'd crash all the time. You'd have to hit the back button a million times to get back to the home page. I had to uninstall the app and reinstall it at one point. That didn't even help. And I definitely felt it was a little glitchy before the cruise too. So overall, I don't know, maybe coming from an IT background, I'm a little bit more picky, but I was very disappointed in that. And then as far as the in-room technology, that was a super cool feature. We really enjoyed it. But again, it was pretty glitchy.
Yeah. It wasn't too bad except for our last day on board. The iPad thing that they control it with disconnected from the internet somehow, the network, and then we couldn't get it to reconnect. So then you're just everything still works. You're just using the manual controls instead of controlling everything with your iPad.
Right. So opportunity there, but hopefully they get better in time.
I will say I did like their bracelets on the tech end, the wristbands that you wear. They were actually great, waterproof. They were comfortable to wear. You could wear them everywhere, and barely even notice they were there after like the first few minutes of having them on.
Right. Definitely better than having that key card you got to put
Yeah.
in a pocket somewhere. Love that.
Yeah.
Our next category is value for the money.
And here we're looking at like the cost of the cruise versus the experience that you get while you're on board.
Right. Now, it is more expensive than most lines, but it does include your gratuities in the price. And unlike some other lines where we still felt the need to tip our waiters and room stewards additionally, we didn't feel this was necessary here.
Yeah, and there's no hidden costs. Like you will pay for alcoholic drinks if you want any kind of alcoholic beverage on board. Same with some of the premium coffees and a few other like premium shakes and
But
fruit
very
juices. Yeah,
minimally,
minimal,
like,
minimal. Yeah. Um, Honestly, like other than purchasing alcohol, you would have to want a specific item to have to pay more for it.
right. And there was really no need. They had so many amazing options included that I never felt like, oh, I'd get that if it was free. Like, I
Yeah.
didn't feel that at all because, like, the specialty restaurants, like we talked about, were all included as well. There was so many, honestly, like, we needed a longer cruise to get to explore all the different restaurants that we didn't
Yeah.
get to try. So, like, why would I pay money to experience something when I haven't even gotten through all the free stuff that I want to? It was kind of my
Yeah.
feeling.
And like the even like the included coffee beverages and cappuccinos and stuff, great. But if you want like, a hand pulled espresso shot with like soy latte whipped into it, then you're gonna pay for like something like that.
Right, right. But basically, we loved that everything was included. Like we
Yeah.
said, the Wi-Fi. I mean, there was even like a candy bar in the game lounge where
Mhm.
like I got a whole bunch of like saltwater taffy and like gummy bears. Like
Yes.
it's just like the thing that you would expect to pay for on any other cruise line. And I was like, wow, they're just like giving this stuff away. It was
You were very
great.
excited about the saltwater taffy.
I was.
I would say definitely try to shop when they're having sales. They do like Black Friday sales and Labor Day sales, and their sales actually do significantly lower the price of the cruise. It's not like some people have sales and it's really the same price it always is.
Right. They
Um,
also do a military discount, and we got a Florida resident discount,
yeah.
which was also a good cost saving. So definitely shop around.
And then you can also, if you're flexible in your schedule, you can time your cruise because there are definitely cruise slots even during popular times of year that are less expensive than all the ones around them. Like this one was it was the week after Thanksgiving and before the Christmas cruises started. Like literally the next cruise, they decorated the ship for Christmas. So we paid, I would say maybe 75% of the price of the other cruises. Our next category is crowd and atmosphere.
The vibe on this ship I could only describe as relaxed. I think that's partially because it's adults only, which I think you can be 18 to go on the cruise, but I don't
Yeah.
think we saw anybody that was like less than 22 or 23.
Yeah, I would say that's right. I would put the average age estimate probably somewhere in their mid to late 30s. It's definitely a slightly younger crowd than some cruises. I would say the oldest categories were maybe 55-ish.
I definitely agree. And also, what stood out to me was that there was no obnoxious drunk people on the ship.
Yeah.
Maybe you can blame that on the fact that there's no alcohol package that people are trying to get their money's worth out
Yeah.
of. But I definitely found it to be a very quiet, more relaxed crowd that wasn't just out of control, which was really nice. And
Yeah. And the drink prices are actually still fairly reasonable. They start around like, $9, $10 for a cocktail. Work your way up to like the more expensive cocktails being 16, 17, maybe $18. And then beers were in like the $5 to $9 range. So you can drink a good bit and actually still end up spending less than what is it, $120 per day per person on like a Royal Caribbean boat or something.
right or
That adds
more.
up to, $1,000 on your alcohol package.
Yeah, and we also found the ship to be very LGBT friendly, as far as like them having the drag queen that would be at all the events and the drag show. But basically, just the crowd was definitely very LGBT, which was super cool and definitely noticeably different. So definitely a fun crowd.
Yep, I would agree with that. And in general, everybody was really friendly, super laid back crowd, really fun.
Yeah, and then as far as overcrowding, not the case at all, which was awesome. We never had to search for a chair at the pool or like sometimes at the buffet at breakfast on other ships you'll be like
Yeah.
circling and hovering waiting for
Yes.
somebody to get up. Again, not the case at all. It was awesome. We just took our food to a table, sat down, and we were good to go.
Yeah, like we get prime seating right by a window, great view every time with no problem.
Yep. Our last category is personal highlights. I touched on it earlier, but for me, the hammock on the balcony was definitely like worth the price of admission. I sat there so long just reading my book as the ocean went by, and I loved it.
And by long, like maybe half of her waking hours were spent on that hammock.
I got my money's worth for sure on the sea terrace. We were hesitant in going for the obstructed view or the normal view, and I'm so glad we went for the normal view because oh boy, was I out there all the time. I also really enjoyed the drag show. That was
Yeah, it was
different
fun.
and also super fun and cool.
We both loved the breakfast at the wake. Excellent. Like we got the steak and eggs pretty much every time we went.
And that's their steakhouse restaurant, which
Yes.
you can eat at for dinner as well. But we personally went back, I think twice or maybe
for,
three
for
times
brunch, yeah.
for brunch, and it was a highlight for sure. We got double orders of steak and eggs one time because it was just amazing.
And then I really enjoyed the nightlife on it. The pajama party and Scarlet Night were fantastic. They were great. I would say easily top 5 cruise ship parties that I've been to on all our different cruises.
Yeah, absolutely. So definitely, we love the Virgin cruise, and I would say we will sail on it again if the price is right.
Yep, I agree.
Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this, please give it a like and subscribe to continue to wander the world with us. Safe travels.